Hey guys, my name is Dion, and today we're going to try to complete the Pokédex of Pokemon Heart Gold. So this is my first time ever trying to complete this Pokédex, so this is going to be very interesting to see how far I can possibly get by myself. Because I always see these YouTubers always like do them within 24 hours. I'm going to tell you this right now, this did not take 24 hours. This took me like 100 and something hours. One thing I will say, I won't use rare candies, but I will use speed up. It is still just as bad to train Pokemon because Lord, it was ridiculous, really. But essentially, we can catch up to 216 Pokemon, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I only have 177. I've only ever explored Johto, and I haven't gotten to Kanto yet, but when I get there, I'll let future me handle it. So the game plan is, I'm gonna go ahead and catch me a Scyther, so you know, I messed with the time just a little bit, and I was able to get a Scyther. Now, the main reason why we're gonna get a Scyther is because, God darn, it's because it knows False Swipe. Now, pretty much, I could use False Swipe to get it to 1 HP so that any Pokemon that we try to get, we're gonna have an easier time trying to catch it. Because I tried catching some Pokemon flat out, and I'm telling you, they hopped out of that ball so fast. So getting a Scyther is very important. The next step is, we're gonna go to each route individually and catch any Pokemon that we can get there. So if we can only get a Rattata, a Pidgey, and a Sentret there, that's all we're gonna get, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next area. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I goofed. I missed a couple encounters as we went along this route, because I just ran around in the grass, you know, threw a fishing rod, and that's it. I didn't bother like hitting trees or try using a different rod at first. So there is a couple encounters that I will get towards the end, because I didn't realize until after I was at like the last town that I realized I still got a bunch of encounters that I completely missed. Alright, the intro was too long, I apologize. We struggled to get our Scyther, but once we finally get it, we train it, and now we can finally move on to the first route. So we had a route 29 leaving New Bark Town, and the first Pokemon we run into is a Sentret. I caught it? Obviously, I didn't think too hard how I wanted this video to go. I guess I'll just talk about it if a particular Pokemon was a turd or not, or if I was just surprised that this Pokemon was here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did run like a crackhead around this patch of grass, because I thought you could catch more Pokemon, but apparently not. So going through the route, you can head to this building where it leads you to a different route. Route 46. Here we can catch a couple more Pokemon, specifically a Rattata and a Geodude. Now, as you can see, I already caught the Rattata because I used it in my regular playthrough where it only had one purpose and I just used it for cut. Also, this Geodude was a turd. I tried catching it outright and it wouldn't get caught. I mean, I caught it, but still, I didn't know I was gonna have trouble this early on. We caught a Spearow. I guess that's cool. Ugly evolution though. Moving on. Alright, new place, Cherry Grove City. They have this water area that I'm not gonna lie, I've honestly never explored. I wonder what we could find. Tentacool. Honestly, what was I expecting? I don't even know. So that's the only thing you can find in surfing, and if you use a super rod, you can find a Magikarp, and you can also find a Krabby. Leaving Cherry Grove, you can get a Caterpie and a Metapod. I didn't know if you surfed in this area, you could get a whole Poliwhirl. That's so freaking cool. And obviously, you could get a Poliwag as well. On Route 31, there's this dark cave where you could get a Zubat. Once you're out of there, you can find a Bellsprout as well. But I got two because you could get an Onix in the next town. Here, I also remembered that I have Headbutt on one of my Pokemon, and if I hit trees, I'll be able to find some cool Pokemon as well. With that, I was able to find a Pineco and a Hoot. Then I decided to head back to the first route to see if I could get any tree encounters. I found an Execute, that's pretty cool. Now we make our way to the next town, which is Violet City. The only thing we can get here is a trade. If we give this person a Bellsprout, this person will give us an Onix. After that, I tried looking around, you know, the water, the tower, but I couldn't find anything that I didn't already have. And if I want a Ghastly, I do have to wait for nighttime. And since it's not nighttime, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So we make our way down to Route 32, where we can actually find a couple encounters. The first Pokemon we were able to run into was a Mareep, so that's pretty cool. A Hoppip. Going down the route, there's this water area where we find a Tentacruel, and we also find a Quagsire, and I was so hyped up because I did not know you could find a Quagsire here. I said a couple encounters, but it was like 3. I didn't realize there was barely any here. So now we head into Union Cave. So I finally have the Zubat in my party so that we could get that friendship going. At this point, I already have most of the cave encounters, but I was able to get a Sandshrew that I haven't gotten yet. And when you first enter Union Cave, there's this little water patches. That's the only place where you can find a Whoop Super, if I remember correctly. So I got one of those as well. So at this point you have Surf and you're able to wander places where you weren't able to before. So I finally head back there and I end up at Ruins of Alph. And I'm not gonna lie, the layout was really weird, so I was struggling a bit. But you could find a Natu here and a Smeargle. I didn't even know you could find these here. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna use them, but still. It turns out the unknown thing was a little bit more complicated than I thought, so I decided to leave. On my way back, I ran into Eradicate and I was so surprised because up until this point, I never ran into one. And I wasn't even using repels. So after that, I backtracked all the way back to the beginning of the cave just to double check I had everything, and I ran into a Goldeen. But that was the last thing that I could find, so I ended up leaving the cave and heading to Route 33. It turns out I had most of the grass encounters, so I went ahead and did the tree encounters. The only one I ended up finding was Apom. After that, I decided to head to the Slowpoke well. I also want to say that my Togetic ended up hatching around here as well. I can't find the footage for the life of me, but I thought I'd let you know. If you have strength, you're able to access this part you weren't able to the first time, and I was able to find a Slowpoke, as the name suggests. After that, I go further down the cave, and I was only able to find a Golbat. It turns out you can also find the evolution here, but I searched here for a while, and I could not find it. We'll come back to that later, though. In Azalea Town, we could find one more tree encounter. After searching for a bit, we got a Heracross. Now, I will say I didn't do this for all the Pokemon that I already had, but I was going to with Heracross, as you can see here, but I ended up not doing it. So I guess I'll go ahead and let you know, up to this point, I only had my starter, which was like the Totodile, a Pidgey, the Togetic that hatched here, and then the Heracross as well. So we make our way to Elix Forest. And I think that's how you say it. I honestly don't know. After running around, turns out I had all the encounters that you could get here. So I decided to start hitting trees to see if I could find anything. The only thing I ended up finding was a Paris. And I don't know, something about it, I just don't like it. After I'm done being a hater, I go to Route 34. And in this route, there's this water area to the left of us. I did fish and surf there, but I only found like tentacles. So I didn't think too much about it. It turns out there was an encounter here, but we'll come back to that after I look at the Pokédex and realized I goofed. In the meantime, we found a Drowsy and a Ditto, and after a little bit we caught an Abra. That thing was a turd. It did not want to get caught. So after I got the Ditto, I headed my way to the daycare so that I could start hatching some eggs, specifically some Eevee eggs. You can get Eevee if you head into Ecruteak City and you go to the Pokemon Center where you have to talk to Bill. He'll just come and walk up to you. You want to head back to Goldenrod City, and it's on the left side of the city, so you know, just find one of those houses. You'll find Bill and he'll just give you the Eevee. It was the perfect plan until I forgot about it. So we leave Goldenrod City heading into Route 35 where we find Nidoran female and Nidoran male. In that same route, there's this big pool of water where you can find a Golduck and a Psyduck. I don't know about you, but I did not know you could find these two Pokemon here. Then again, when you first come across this area, you don't have surf, so there's no reason to really be curious. Next is the National Park. Funny enough, the only thing you could get here is a Sunkern, because at this point, you've already caught everything else. We head our way to Route 36 where we end up finding a Growlithe. We also find a Sudowoodo here as well. It's part of the main story, so I decided to catch it. Getting past the Sudowoodo, we head to Route 37 where we find a Stantler, and this man was so stubborn, it was insane. I threw way too many Pokeballs at it. After we finally caught the deer, we made our way to Ecruteak City where we head into the Burn Tower, where I only know you could get one Pokemon here, and we ended up getting a Coughing. So I searched around a little bit and I ended up not finding anything else, so we make our way to Route 38, and after running into a bunch of fat rats, we finally find a Magnemite. I was like, it's about time. I ran into like a good 7 Raticates before I found a Magnemite. Dude, we find a Snowball. I don't know about y'all, but that Pokemon's so fun to use. In the original Gen 2 anyway. Oh, and we find a Farfetch'd. I will say the most annoying thing out of this whole area is finding a Milk Tank. I don't know what it was. I was just having a hard time finding it. I think it took me a good 30-45 minutes before I was able to find one. Though when I finally found it, it was really easy to catch. Now that we got the Milk Tank, we passed Olivine City heading to Route 40 to see if we could get any more water encounters that I don't already have. So after surfing for a bit, my Zubat finally evolved at level 22. I've had this Zubat since level 2 or 3, so I'm hoping that Friendship is super close and it's almost ready to evolve. So after surfing for a while, I finally found a Mantine that took way too long. While I was trying to find it, I was also leveling up my Golbat so that it could evolve. And honestly, if my Golbat was not going to evolve anytime soon, I was going to start strangling somebody. But sure enough, Golbat was finally evolving. So part of the water where I was at, I'm pretty sure I was in Signwood City. But after fishing for a while, I finally found a Chinchou. Also, I swear that you could find a Shelder here. I was looking everywhere and I could not find one. So I did some research. Turns out you could find one in Newbark Town. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit. Now that we caught it, we make our way back to Signwood City. And if you go all the way in the back, there's these rocks that you can rock smash. And after a little bit, we found a Shuckle. Alright, so this is where we're gonna kind of speed run. Because we have to go over 2 routes where we could catch a bunch of Pokemon. And then the Safari Zone itself. So even though we're gonna be in Route 47, we're gonna be in the cave. So I guess it's gonna be a little bit different. As you can see, we found a Machop, we found a Kingler, and we found a Machoke. And then after we found a Steelix. I didn't know you could find these here. I thought these were trade exclusives. I thought that was all. Then I looked at the footage. I also found a Graveler. I think what happened was I saw so many Gravelers. I thought I just caught it, so I just always ran away. And then I realized I didn't. So yeah. So we make our way out of the cave, and now we're back on Route 47, just in a different area. And this is where we could get some water encounters, as you can obviously tell. But surprisingly enough, we could only find a Staryu here, and not too long after we get a Seal as well. In that same water area, there's this waterfall, and if you go up it, you can find a Gloom, a Fearow, and a Butterfree. Now, if we head back to the cave where we were originally, and instead of going down, we go up, we're still on the same route, but if we follow the path, we'll end up at a different route. We end up on Route 48, and in this patch of grass, we can find a Tauros and a Diglett. And if we headbutt this tree, we can find a Spinarak. Man, I love Spinarak. If only it wasn't trash. So I looked in the grass again one more time for good measure, and we ended up finding a Girafarig. Honestly, was not expecting that. That took me a whole hour, and you seen it in 2 minutes. Now I'm mad. But that's not even what I'm mad about the most. The part where I'm mad at the most is now that I'm at the Safari Zone, now I gotta catch all the turds that didn't want to be caught. And I'm gonna go ahead and name them out one by one, and then I'm gonna say something and you might have to skip it, but I do not care. Magneton, Arbok, Weezing, Magmar, Kangaskhan could go and suck my nuts, man. Ain't no way. These were the absolute turds. I had to go back to the Safari Zone like 5 or 6 times because I ran out of balls because they did not want to get caught. Ooh! Oh yeah, back at the daycare, I got the egg and it finally hatched. So we got an Eevee, so that's pretty cool. Also, I will say you can find a Mischievous here. I looked at the footage, turns out I just didn't catch one. I'll come back to that. I'm still like, ain't no way. It took so long to catch all these Pokemon that my egg hatched. But anyways, we caught a Grimer, an Ekans, and a Mr. Mime. Finally, now that we're finally done with that whole area, we could go ahead and leave. And we're gonna backtrack to Mahogany Town. Instead of going left, we're gonna go right. Now we're on Route 42. So there's this cave, and it's called Mount Mortar. After searching around a bit, the only Pokemon we ended up finding was a Marill, and we left. Back on Route 42, we went on this water area where we ended up finding a Sea King. And that's it. There was nothing else. But there was this patch of grass where we caught a Flaffy. And I think at some point I caught a Mankey. Because I don't have the footage for it, but I do have the little icon saying that I caught it. I must have used it for an HM or something. So let's just say we caught it here. So we finally had a Mahogany Town and automatically leave. We go up and head to Route 43. And this is actually the first time we head to a route where we didn't have to catch any Pokemon. All the Pokemon here we caught in other places already. Same thing goes for the Lake of Rage. When you're doing the story mode, you encounter the shiny Gyarados that you can get here. And this is pretty much where you can catch it. I already caught it in my other playthrough. You can find that on my YouTube. Subscribe. Anyways, that's the only Pokemon you can get here, so we leave. So we head back to Mahogany Town, heading into Route 44. Now, to me, this route is very interesting because at first glance, there's like nothing here but water. And when you fish, the only thing you get is like Poliwag and Magikarp. Turns out there's a lot more encounters here than you think. So honestly, this was a big surprise to me. Out of all the routes, I think it was this one that took the cake of, I didn't know you could find Pokemon here. And it all starts with this specific bridge. If you use Surf, there's this whole grass area that I never knew about. And the first Pokemon I ended up encountering was a Weeping Bell. I literally thought you could only get a Bellsprout. This is crazy. This was mind-boggling to me when I found it. We also found a Tangela and a Lickitung. I always wondered where you could find these. Now I know. Now all we need to do is find one more Pokemon, and pretty much we have to get our good rod, and we just gotta keep chucking it in the water until we find it. The Pokemon that we're looking for is a Remoraid. This is also another surprise. I did not know you could catch one here. I will say it did take a while before I was finally able to find one, but when I did find one, I was so hyped up. Alright, Ice Path. We ended up finding a Swinub and a Jinx. That's it. Now that we're in Blackthorn City, we head behind the gym where we enter Dragon's Den. After running into a Pokemon and knocking it out, my Eevee finally reached high happiness and it finally evolved into an Espeon. On my way heading to the shrine, I didn't have a Pokemon that knew Whirlpool, so I had to go back to the Pokemon Center to go get one. Also, the same thing applies if you have 6 Pokemon in your party. Take one of them out, because once you go to the shrine, the old man will give you a Dratini. And I also had to go back for that too. I'm so bad. Once I came back, I got the Dratini and I left. Heading back to Blackthorn, I go down and I end up on Route 45. I ended up fighting a Gligar and a Phanpy. On that same route, there's this cave that we could go into and it's called Dark Cave. And yes, it is the same cave from the very beginning of the game. This is just the inside of it. So on the inside, the only Pokemon we ended up finding was a Wobbuffet. In the beginning of the video, I went to this exact cave, just the front part of it, and I talked about how I missed a Pokemon. So I went back to that front part. I used Rock Smash and I was able to find a Dunsparce. Dunsparce! We got the Dunsparce first try. As you can see, I was very hyped. If you don't know what cave I'm talking about this one. Before we go to the night encounters, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the footage of me having all 5 of my Pokemon that I used to beat the gym and the Elite Four. Because after like 2 days, I finally found it. Some of them are very obvious because you see them throughout the whole footage. So obviously I picked Totodile as my starter. This was me finding my Pidgey. This was like one of the really early routes. I found this Heracross in Azalea Town. This one was a turd too. And between Azalea Town and Route 33, I hatched my egg. And we got Togepi. And this is where I got the shiny Gyarados. So after you beat the 8th gym, you go back to Professor Elm and he talks to you about the legendary Pokemon, I think. All I know is that you go to Ecruteak City where like there's this tower and you do like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo and boom, we got Ho-Oh. This is also part of the story, but this is where I got the Sudowoodo after you get like this watering can after beating the 3rd gym. And that's it. That's all the Pokemon that I caught in my initial playthrough. Now that I got that out the way, we can go ahead and get all night encounters. We go to Bellsprout Tower where we can get a Ghastly. Then we head our way to Elix Forest where we can get an Oddish. While I was walking, I hatched another Eevee egg. Oh yeah, we're on Route 45 by the way. And on the same route, we found a Yanma. I did not know you could find this here. I think this is Route 43. This is near Lake of Rage, but you can find a Noctowl here and a Venonat. Now that I caught every Pokemon in each route, I looked at the Pokédex to see if I'm missing something. It turns out I'm missing a lot. So now we have to go ahead and backtrack and get all those Pokemon. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So the first thing I decided to do was the bug catching contests are only available on certain days. But you know, I just, switch the time or whatever. But that's not the point. So we got a Weedle and we got a Pinsir. That's it. That's all we needed. And then it suddenly hit me. Wait a minute. I still haven't caught any of the Pokemon heading to Victory Road and just like all of that in general. So we have to go do that right now. So the first place we head to is Route 27 where we find a Ponyta. Right after we find a Duduo as well. Excuse me. I had to do that take like freaking 6 times because I kept messing up. So now we head our way to Victory Road where we can find a Donphan and a Rhyhorn. So now that we officially been through all the routes and areas, now we can go back and catch some Pokemon that I forgot to get the first time around. Wheelfish. This thing is a turd. This thing took me 3 hours to find. Whatever. I mean, not whatever. I found it on Route 32. So in Mahogany Town, there's this Team Rocket hideout where you could get like a Voltorb and an Electroid. You could get an Electroid while doing that thing with Lance. That's where I got it. I don't have the footage, but I did get it there. Now, I came back after I beat the game, and as you can see, there is no Pokemon you could possibly encounter there. So if I were you, I would try to get it as soon as it's available to you, because it looks like you can't get it anymore. So on Route 34 near Goldenrod City, if you fish here with a good rod, you'll be able to find... I forgot what it's called. You'll be able to find a Corsola. And I don't know if it's this one specific spot, but when I look for a YouTube video, this is where it told me to go. So on Route 41, there's this little area that you can access once you have Whirlpool. Once you go inside the cave, you can find a Horsey. And with that, we finally caught all the Pokemon that I missed. So now the only things that we need to do is level up the Pokemon that we couldn't find in the wild, hatch eggs, and then also get evolution stones for Pokemon who need stones, obviously. And so with that, let's go ahead and start leveling up these Pokemon. So the way that I leveled them up is by switch training in Victory Road. I never want to see this Victory Road ever again. I was here for hours. So the first Pokemon was Weedle, and then after that we turned it into a Kakuna, which turned into a Beedrill. Also, I would like to say there is no particular order, this is just how I was doing it. Back to the video. Pineco turned into Fortress, Abra turned into Kadabra, Drowsy turned into Hypno, Flaffy turned into Ampharos, Hoppip turned into Skiploom, and then Skiploom turned into Jumpluff. Paris turned into Parasect. Ghastly turned into a Haunter. Is it Haunter? Is that how you pronounce it? Anyways, Sandshrew turned into Sandshrew. Bro, I said the same thing twice. I am stupid. Sandshrew turned into Sandslash. Spinarak turned into an Ariados. Sentret turned into a Ferret. Venonat turned into a Venomoth. Honestly, Yanmega was probably the easiest thing to train. It turned into a Yanmega. I was so hyped. Male Nidoran turned into a Nidorino. Then Nidoran female turned into a Nidorina. Seal turned into a bigger Seal. Marill turned into a Azumarill. That was the first one I've ever evolved. Natu turned into Xatu. Who actually uses this Pokemon now that I'm thinking about it? Remoraid turned into an Octopus. Coolest thing ever. Mankey turned into a Primeape. Diglett turned into a Dugtrio. Snubbull turned into a Granbull. One of the ugliest Pokemon, Lickitung, finally evolved to an even uglier Licky. Dratini turned into a Dragonair. I low-key used the daycare. It gained like 10 levels while I was grinding everybody else up. Tangela evolved into a Tangrowth. I swear this Pokemon had a different name. Chinchou turned into a Lantern. And then Swinub evolved into a Pillow-Swine. This one was a little tedious because I had to go get a heart scale, give it to somebody, teach it ancient power, level it up, and evolve it into a Mamoswine. Cool Pokemon though. I love how stupid Horsey looks. It just looks so adorable. We evolve it into a Seadra. Duduo evolves into a Dugtrio. Wait a minute. Dudrio? Dude, I've been saying it wrong for like 10 plus years. Got max friendship with one of my Eevees, turned into an Umbreon. Rhyhorn turned into a Rhydon. Apom turned into an Ambipom after it learned Double Hit. Alright, you know when I said there was no particular order? There is now. Turning Ponyta into a Rapidash took so freaking long. Ooh! Grimer? Why was this thing so hard to freaking evolve? I was just having a really hard time. Oh my god. Just thinking about it is giving me a headache. And you already know, Dragonair, this one just took forever, okay? This was like the one that needed the most levels. And god dang it, now you can hear how poor I am. The freaking fire alarm going off. I think it's been going on for like 2 days. We haven't changed it yet. Alright, if you haven't noticed already, there is a... God dang it, leave me alone! One Pokemon that I haven't gotten yet, and that's an unknown. And mostly because you have to solve a puzzle first before you can even interact with one. And I'm like, bro, I'm too dumb for this. But then I remembered there's technology. So, you know, I went on YouTube and I searched up a video, did exactly what he did. Either way, we got an unknown now. So now we have to get Pokemon that you can only get by breeding. First was an Electroid that I could have got a Voltorb but didn't, so I had to go hatch an egg for that one. The next Pokemon we hatched was Smoochum. I would also like to add that I also ended up getting a whole bunch of EVs as well for all the evolutions. I just won't put it on screen because I don't have the footage for it. Anyways, the last egg we hatched was a Magby. Alright, jump scare. So pretty much when it comes to my Stone Evolution Pokemon, I forgot to record it, so I do not have any footage of it. So I'm about to show you all the Pokemon that I ended up evolving through Stone Evolutions. Now that I have everything loaded up, now I'm going to show you all the Pokemon that needed Evolution Stones to evolve. So Eevee turned into a Flareon, Growlithe turned into an Arcanine, Eevee turned into a Jolteon, Nidorino turned into a Nidoking, and then Nidorina turned into a Nidoqueen. Weeping Bell turned into a Victory Bell. Gloom turned into a Vileplume. Execute turned into an Executor. Poliwhirl turned into a Poliwrath. Staryu turned into a Starmie. Shelder turned into a Cloyster. Eevee turned into a Vaporeon. Gloom and turned into a Blossom. Sunkern evolved into a Sunflora. So with that, that's all the Pokemon that needed evolution stones that you could get in Johto. So with that, let's go ahead and go right back to the video. Now, I just went past that in like 20 seconds, but doing the Pokeleathon to get all the evolution stones took 9 hours. Absolutely insane. It was like 69 attempts. Ooh, like I can't even explain how long that... Ooh. Anyways, now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and catch the legendary dogs. And once we finally catch these 2 legendary dogs, we will now have officially gotten every Pokemon you could possibly get in Johto. Alright, let's look at this. You have a Haunter? Yeah. When I use it, I always get sparked. Look, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Watch this. Okay, not this turn, but the next turn. Just watch. Alright, I'm gonna throw the best ball I could possibly use on it. Not a quick ball. An Ultra Ball. Check it out. Check it out. I'm about to get sparked right after this. No way! I freaking caught it! Holy cow! Yeah, that took about 3 to 4 hours. It was so bad. Can he beat Goku though? Probably not. I don't think anybody could beat Goku. Oh my god, I finally caught it! Finally! Now, usually I'm not hyped when it comes to catching legendary Pokemon, but when it comes to the roaming one, I swear I want to punch all of them. They are so annoying. Alright guys, with that, we've caught everything you could possibly get in Johto. Now, I will say I still have to go through Kanto and stuff like that. I know, but I'm gonna have to do that in another video just because I'm already like super late with this video, so I just want to go ahead and pump it out. I will say I am looking for a different editing software and, you know, trying to get, you know, music and, you know, just trying to like do different things so that I can make my videos way better for you guys. Alright guys, with that, let me give you a little rundown of how long it took to do everything. So, I do have a little card with me just to remind me because it has been a couple weeks since I've actually beaten it. So, first I want to say it actually took me 27 hours to beat the game itself. So, you know, I had my team of 5 or 6 Pokemon up until the, you know, Elite Four and Champion. I think the Champion took a long time just because I just kept losing to the Aerodactyl and just the team in general. So yeah, I got clapped around. That took like 2. You know what? Never mind. Let me not say. It's embarrassing. But yeah, that took a long time. Alright, so total time to catch all the Pokemon was almost 40 hours. I have right here that it took 39 hours. So, you know, it did take quite a bit of time. But honestly, it did not feel that long at all. Like, it felt really short while catching everything. So, it roughly took me 33 hours to train every single Pokemon. With speed up, I tell you. I will say I did use speed up. I did not use rare candies. I was going to use speed up so that I could pump out the video quicker. Editing took longer. And it wasn't even crazy edits. It was just me just trying to figure stuff out and realizing, you know what? I should just start with a whole brand new video. So yeah, I just want to get that out the way. Like, man, that sucks. Anyways, yeah, with speed up, it still took me 33 hours. It was ridiculous, but hey, it is what it is. Like, I literally caught every Pokemon you could possibly get so that I wouldn't have to train as much, and it still took forever. It was crazy. Okay, so the total time to do the Pokéathon was like roughly like 9 hours. Like, I played the same game. I did like the either the jump or speed trial, and I was just going ham. I was just spamming the button like crazy. But yeah, so that's how long it took me to get everything. And pretty much the reason why I did the Pokéathon, if you don't know, that's how you get evolution stones, and there just happens to be a whole bunch of Pokemon that need evolution stones. So that's why I had that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing. It would be awesome, you know, for future stuff. I'm also gonna get back into streaming legit because you know, lately there's been like a lot of stuff going on where I couldn't stream, and I've honestly felt like I've been slacking when it comes to streaming and, you know, streaming stuff that the viewers would want to watch instead of, you know, what I want to play. So, you know, you got to give in. You know, I'll still play Pokemon, you know, thing I like, but I'm definitely going to bring back other games. Hopefully I'll be able to stream 3 times a day. I can't guarantee that, but I'm definitely going to try. I'm going to try Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'll probably stream for like 2, maybe 3 hours. I'm still trying to figure stuff out. And with that, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah. See ya.